Yeah, the Von Miller angle, Peter, I thought of you when he got injured last week because you had explained after talking to Brandon Beane before the season, the whole mindset, the idea, keep him on a pitch count.
He's a closer.
Keep him fresh. Keep him ready for the games that matter most. Now he's got this lateral meniscus tear. And as I mentioned earlier, on the Voncast Tuesday, got the impression he's coming back next week against the Jets. He gets put on IR out of the blue yesterday afternoon, so he will miss at least the next 4 games. You know, if you get that thing repaired, the meniscus repair takes a long time to recover on the back end. I've gotten the impression that he's going to play with this thing. The question is when, and if he misses the next 3 games, the first game he will be back for, eligible to return for, is that Monday night showdown with the Bengals. And that's when you are kicking it into overdrive and you're getting ready for the postseason, which is precisely why they spent the money on him, to have him make a difference when it's time to see Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson in the playoffs.
You know, Mike, I knew you were going to talk about that, so I just called. I mean, I knew that after you started going that way, I went and looked at his snap count. And you're right. I thought that after playing 75 to 80% of the snaps, you know, for the majority of his career, sometimes more than that, I thought he'd be right around 50%. And he has been mostly above that this year. And particularly later in the year, I think the Bills got a little bit comfortable. And I'm not blaming them. You know, you've got a weapon like that, especially because you did have some injuries on that defensive line. But his percentages in the week before he got hurt, I'll read you his percentages the last 5 weeks: 78, 70, 73, 70, and 73. And that was before he got hurt in the game against Detroit at Ford Field. And my only point about that is not, oh, that's, you know, misuse by the Buffalo Bills. I don't mean that. What I mean is that especially, and consider this, Mike, when you have seen Von Miller, and look, he got hurt on a totally fluky play, but fluky plays do happen in football. But my point is that if you see him at age 33 be absolutely comfortable, he morphed in early on into a huge team leader on this defense, on a defense full of alphas, you know, like Poyer and Hyde and Matt Milano. You know, I think everybody looked to Von Miller because, quite frankly, he's been there before. And so he was so healthy, playing so well, that number sort of crept up. And again, no blame to the Bills at all on this thing. But the fact is, the more you're out there, the more chance you have of getting one of those fluky, freaky injuries. It could have happened if he was playing 28% of the snaps. But the fact is, he did get hurt. And now, look, I'll just say one other thing about an injury like this, which is not severe. And that is that, let's say, Mike, he sits for the next 3 weeks. Let's say he sits until the Monday night game on January 2. A fresh Von Miller chasing Joe Burrow on the day after the new year starts, I think that's got to make Leslie Frazier and his defensive staff and Sean McDermott salivate. So we'll see what happens. But I don't think, especially because of the depth that Brandon Beane has built in to that defense, I don't think it's going to be fatal to this team this year.
And the genius may have been that they did put him on injured reserve, and he can't come back before then, so he has to sit, so there's no temptation. Because I think what happens is very simple. You put him on the field, and he starts kicking ass, and you just – it's football. Keep playing. It takes a hell of a lot of discipline to stick to the plan to make one of the great pass rushers of our era a part-time player. When you see what he can do, how do you justify it to the other players who are out there full-time? How do you justify it to the fan base who sees what he does? And you want to do it too. The guy makes us better. And injuries are part of football, and you just accept it. But yeah, it could have happened on any snap, but the fewer snaps you take, the less likely that fluke is to occur statistically. So the best way to keep him healthy for weeks 17, 18, and beyond is to ensure that his snaps will be 0% until then. And, hey, he believed he was ready to play next week. He probably wasn't happy to be put on injured reserve, but this is the best way to ensure that they'll have him. Get him kind of back into proper game shape the last 2 weeks of the season, and then you unleash him when the postseason rolls around, and maybe he gets a week off before you play your first playoff game if they can get back even with the Chiefs and therefore win the number 1 seed by virtue of their victory in Kansas City earlier this year. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.